The United Nations Security Council is holding an emergency meeting today after U.S. forces attacked Venezuela on Saturday and abducted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife in what may have been described, in what many described as a kidnapping. Delta Force troops seized Maduro and his wife from a military base in Caracas. The two have been flown to New York, where they're appearing in Manhattan federal court today to face drug and weapons charges. The U.S. attack reportedly killed about 80 people, including 32 Cubans in Venezuela. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and other world leaders criticized the U.S. attack. Lula wrote on X, quote, "The bombings on Venezuelan territory and the capture of its president cross an unacceptable line. These acts represent a grave affront to Venezuela's sovereignty and set another extremely dangerous precedent for the entire international community," Lula said. Major questions remain about what comes next in Venezuela. On Saturday, President Trump said the U.S. will run Venezuela.
So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Trump also said the U.S. will take the oil from Venezuela, which has the world's largest reserves of crude oil.
The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago.
On Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio appeared to walk back Trump's comments about U.S. plans to run Venezuela. But on Sunday night, Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One that the U.S. is already in charge.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want to?
Yeah, at the right time, I will.
In Caracas, Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is being sworn in today as Venezuela's interim president. On Saturday, she denounced the abduction of Maduro, but on Sunday posted a message on Instagram saying her government is ready to work with the U.S. In an interview with The Atlantic magazine, Trump threatened Rodriguez, saying, quote, "If she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro," Trump said. On Sunday, Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Petrino warned the U.S. may attack other countries in Latin America.
La Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana.
The Bolivarian National Armed Forces firmly rejects the cowardly kidnapping of citizen Nicolás Maduro, constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, our commander-in-chief, and his wife, the First Lady, Dr. Cilia Flores de Maduro, an act carried out yesterday, Saturday, January 3rd, after cold-bloodedly murdering a large part of his security team, soldiers and innocent civilians. This represents severely a threat against the global order. If today was against Venezuela, tomorrow it can be against any state, any country.
Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Petrino. Over the past 2 days, Trump has threatened to take action against Cuba, Colombia, and Mexico. We're going to spend the rest of the hour talking about Venezuela. We begin in Caracas, where we're joined by Andreína Chávez, reporter based there. Her recent piece for Dropsite News, War of the Entire People, Venezuela's grassroots rise to resist Trump's naval blockade. That was before the U.S. bombed Venezuela and abducted the president and his wife. Andreína Chávez, thank you so much for being back with Democracy Now! Can you talk about the response on the ground? Overall, though we spoke on Saturday in an extended discussion, if you can talk about who the people are, who they are saying now are in charge, like Delcy Rodriguez, and the response to the overall attack. We now understand about 80 people died in the process of the U.S.'s abduction of the president.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me again. Just to give you a small recap of events, today is January 5. 2 days ago, on January 3rd, Venezuela was attacked by the United States We suffered several strikes, several bombings on the ground, on civilian populations, on military sites, and also on electrical facilities. So we suffered in Caracas. We woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of very loud explosions. The fear was indescribable. We realized very quickly that we will be an attack by the United States. We now know that they bombed at least 7 places in Caracas, only the capital. They also bombed additional places in La Guaira, Miranda, Aragua. In Caracas specifically, what we have seen so far is that some electrical facilities have also been affected by U.S. bombs. And there are now at least dozens of Venezuelan communities, neighborhoods, popular neighborhoods, who are without light, without electricity, and the national company is just trying to fix that problem. Of course, it's going to be very difficult because an entire electrical facilities were destroyed by U.S. missiles. So that's what happened. Right now, what is going on the ground is that the Venezuelan people are just going to the streets in an organized way. They are protesting against the U.S. bombings. They are protesting against the kidnapping of President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Silvia Flores. Yesterday, I went to a rally that happened right here in Caracas, very near to the Miraflores Palace. People, once again, they were denouncing that U.S. bombings against Venezuela is an imperialist attack. It is an unjustified military aggression. They were demanding that President Maduro and his wife are returned to Venezuela. And they were completely rejecting the narrative that Venezuela needed to be bombed in order to supposedly take down a drug trafficking organization. That is not true. And the Venezuelan people reject the notion that the Venezuelan government was in any way related to drug trafficking. We all know that the Trump administration has been lying about this. We have seen it when they have been bombing vessels on the Caribbean and killing civilians without any proof that those vessels, those small boats on the Caribbean were actually carrying drugs. So we have seen them kill people in the Caribbean without any evidence, without seizing any drugs, and they're doing the same against Caracas. They're doing the same against the Venezuelan government. They are pushing these false charges against President Maduro, a false indictment against him in order to justify what they want, which is a regime change, and that is the bottom line. What is happening in Venezuela right now, it is an attempt at regime change. And right now, we have an acting president, which is Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. She is going to be in charge of the Venezuelan Executive Office from now on. But it is very clear, Delcy has said that Nicolás Maduro continues to be president of Venezuela. He is still the constitutional elected president of Venezuela. She is going to be acting at the head of the Executive Office from now on. Exactly today, we have a meeting from the National Assembly, Venezuela's legislative body. They're going to sworn in Delcy. They're going to officialize that Delcy is now going to be in charge. And they're also going to initiate a new legislative period in Venezuela. All of these elements, they ratify that Venezuela still has a government. We still have a Bolivarian government. We still have people in power who are facing the situation, who are calling people to resist. And Delcy has said it many times now, Venezuela is not going to be a U.S. colony. Venezuela is open to dialogue with the United States. Venezuela is open to cooperation based on respect with the United States. And this is in line with Venezuelan foreign policy. Venezuela has always had a diplomacy of peace, which means that we have been calling the United States for years, since Hugo Chavez was president, to have bilateral relationships with Venezuela based on respect, to stop intervening in Venezuela and to respect Venezuelan sovereignty. So that is what we are seeing right now in Venezuela. Of course, people still have fear that something else is going to happen. We know that Trump threatened to bomb Venezuela again, and something that I have been seeing, speaking to people both in the rally and in the streets, is that people fear that there's going to be more bombings. So people are still very cautious. Yesterday, I walked around the capital and I saw people still buying food, buying water, just trying to feel safe somehow that they're going to be able to resist any kind of attack against Venezuela in the coming days or weeks.
And Andreína, I wanted to ask you in terms of some of the pronouncements of Delcy Rodriguez, now who's being sworn in as the interim president, appearing to give overtures to President Trump to try to have cooperation between Venezuela and the United States. What do you make of those comments of hers most recently?
Yes, so like I said, Delcy Rodriguez is not saying anything new. Venezuela has been asking the United States government, not only the Trump administration, but the Biden administration, the Obama administration, even the Bush administration back in the day. Since the very beginning of the Bolivarian process, since Chavez took power, we have been asking the United States to enter into bilateral relations with Venezuela that are based on respect, that are based on sovereignty, that are based on the principle of non-intervention. So this is in line with the Venezuelan foreign policy. Venezuela is a country that prioritizes diplomacy, and that is what Delcy was saying, that we are still open to have bilateral relations based on actual cooperation, based on actual respect as mutual sovereign nations. So, of course, Delcy is following the line of President Maduro, who, even during these last few months, when the United States was threatening Venezuela, militarizing the Caribbean, bombing people in the Caribbean, President Maduro was still saying we're open to dialogue and we're open to have cooperation with U.S. companies such as Chevron. I mean, Venezuela has never been close to the idea of not having any kind of economic or political cooperation with the United States. We just don't want it to be on the base of them violating our sovereignty. So that is what Delcy has been saying.
We're going to break and then come back to this discussion. We're speaking with Andreína Chávez, a reporter based in Caracas in Venezuela. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.